Who gonna stop with? Alright, all of you here. Greetings and salutations, one and all. Welcome to the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. It's Real Talk Night. I want to say big ups to each and everyone that is locked in right now. Those from near and far. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in on TuneIn Radio. Night shift to DJ Kevin Steele. Much love to ya. I want to say big ups to the massive locked in New Jersey. NIE Radio well representing. Big ups to the Motivator. Remember you can catch the Motivator on Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays at 9 p.m. for Double Trouble Thursday. Saturdays for Motivation. Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Much love, the Motivator. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in out of South Florida on the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com. Big ups to you. Remember, Mr. Lindsay is on every day at noon Eastern time. Check him out. I want to say welcome to Real Talk, to our brand new family member, Reggae Pulse Radio. Buck well representing out at NY. Yeah man, New York representing. Yeah man, Long Island good again. Big ups to those who are locked in on PEMGTV.com. Welcome. Those on Zeno FM. Big ups to those on Clubhouse. Enough love to the family on Facebook Live. Hey Jan, I thought about you today. Hey Dora, how are things down there in Brazil? Big ups to the Radio Crystal Gospel Station down there in Brazil. Much love to ya. Big ups to those who are locked in on YouTube Live. Welcome. Those, just remember, those on Facebook Live, those on Clubhouse. It's a segment broadcast. Come on over to the home of the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment. Speaking of which, big ups to those who are locked in, hanging out in the stew pot already, warming up and bubbling up. Those of you wondering what the stew pot is, it's what others call a chat room, but because we're fancy on kevinstew.com, it's a stew pot. Hey, come on in, the water is always nice. Big ups to Marlon, the GM, Reggae Global Radio's General Manager. Remember, you can catch Marlon on Real Rockers every Monday and Wednesday. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. Much love, Marlon. Hey, 3263. Yeah, man, I'll take the title of your favoritist DJ. Inviting you all to call a friend, tell a friend, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends, and your enemies too. Because what we do here is for everybody. Speaking of what we do here, it couldn't happen without my sponsors. I want to say thank you to them. have some segment sponsors, and if you want to be a sponsor, you can be too. Just link me. I'll give you the number a little bit later. But thank you to my segment sponsors. Pulse Media Group and Being in a Moment is priceless. Give them a call. What can they do for you? Everything you see here on kevinstew.com and more. Outside of hosting kevinstew.com on their server. They also provide me with streaming services, and they can provide them to you too. So you have a church service, a funeral, a wedding, a party, a graduation, a seminar you want to stream live on a secure platform, whether it's yours or theirs. No worries, give them a call. 754-999-1140. That's 754-999-1140. Tell them Kevin Stew sent you. Thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade and South Palm Beach counties. She comes to you, bringing her table, her oils, and over 20 years massage therapy experience. Go ahead and book your appointment today. Give her a call. 954-655-9000. That's 954-655-9000. Or email her at thealater@att.net. That's THEALATER@att.net. She only has one request, outside of paying her, that is. And it's that you get off her table and go sleep somewhere else when she's done. It's known as the Kevin Stew Clause. Yep, it's a real thing. I'm always falling asleep on her table, that's why. I want to say thank you to Reggae Global Entertainment. Reggae Global will act as your booking agents, handle your tour management, take care of your business registration, legal service referrals, music production, marketing and promotion, and so much more. Give them a call, 954-804-8199. That's 954-804-8199. Check them out online at reggaeglobal.com. Tell them you heard about them on the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Thank you to McNeil Trucking. With McNeil Trucking, your goods are in good hands. They are movers, licensed and insured in the state of Florida. So you want to move from point A to point B, move some things into storage. Don't have the manpower, don't have the equipment. No worries. Give them a call, 954-406-9740. McNeil Trucking will be there to your rescue. Just tell them Kevin Stew sent you. Do remember, the Mary Kay store is open. So go ahead and check out products for you, men, women, boys, girls. Yes, I did say men. And yes, I did say Mary Kay store. I am an independent Mary Kay consultant, so go ahead and check out the store. Men, you have face and beard care, as well as fragrances. And we know skincare is for everyone, right? So that goes without saying. Check it out, marykay.com/Kevin Stew. And y'all can also get that skin balancing that you need. That skin tone balancing, that is. All in one bottle. It's a Mary Kay CC cream. It also has UVA and UVB protection. You can get it at marykay.com/Kevin Stew. Come on, just call your friends, tell your friends, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends, and your enemies too. Everything is there for everyone. Just like this broadcast. Thank you so much, Dora. I receive those blessings. So if you haven't done so yet, you might want to lock in the number to call, numbers to text, numbers to get you in touch. It's 773-789-STEW. That's 773-789-7839. You can call, text, WhatsApp, Telegram. All those work. And you get locked in right here, live and in living color. You don't need to be shy. This is a judgment-free zone. We encourage all feedback. We just ask that you keep it respectful. Those of you that are watching on the various platforms, you'll see the number scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Of course, the whole broadcast happens at kevinstew.com. And tonight, we're talking about emotional triggers. The sound of 5-star Akil kicking us off in the music in the background. A track called Symptoms. And you kind of have to wonder, what are some of the symptoms when it comes to emotional triggers? Do you know? Do they have symptoms? You know, we talk about these things from time to time, and we just kind of brush it over. You know, we don't get down into the nitty-gritty of it. We don't ask the why. And some of you know, once you interact with me over time, you've come to realize that I ask a lot of whys. It's all good and well to know that you do things because you just want to do them. But why? Is it just because you want to do it? Or is there something else behind it? Something that is fueling it? Something that is driving you to do that thing? The night shift triggers good vibes with you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, 3263. So, what's a trigger? According to NAMI.org, and I do want to big up NAMI Broad. Thank you very much for the award, the recognition that you presented to me for hosting NAMI Walks for the last 2 years. I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much for the recognition. So, according to NAMI.org, a trigger, sometimes referred to as a stressor. Yeah, you don't really look at it that way sometimes, right? This is an action or situation that can lead to an adverse emotional reaction. In the context of mental illness, referring to triggers usually means something that has brought on or worsened symptoms. In the ongoing dialogue about mental health, we don't talk enough about triggers. Most often the discussion focuses on what happens after a person has been triggered, which is when the situation is much harder to address. You know, the horse is already out the gate. Understanding, identifying, and working to prevent triggers can be more empowering and effective. Comment here already. There are triggers for everything that happens in our lives. The fact is that we don't always pay attention to those triggers. But the triggers tend to set off something, right? What is the something? Hey Nadia, how are you doing? Greetings to you. Yeah, what is the something that is triggered? And do we understand what those triggers are, or even how they show up? Because the manifesting of those triggers, you know, they don't just pop up out of nowhere. So triggers are individualized experiences that vary widely from person to person. For example, we have a call here. See, we don't even have to get down too deep into it. Greetings and salutations.
Greetings.
How are you, ma'am?
I was just waiting for you to get through the formalities.
Okay. Since I've gotten through the formalities and was getting down into the info, what do you have to contribute as it relates to triggers?
Well, being someone who has realized over the years that some of the issues that I experienced
Mm-hmm.
and still experiencing, the
Mm.
reason why I wasn't able to deal with them
Mm-hmm.
is because I wasn't able to realize certain triggers that caused these situations, and it also contributed to the way that I dealt with certain situations.
Okay. Meaning.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Meaning.
No, meaning that certain things would happen in my life, and it, it's not something that just popped up.
Mm-hmm.
And after thinking about it, I'm like, wait a second. Last week, 2 weeks ago, a year ago, a month ago, whatever, I experienced this exact same thing.
Right.
What is causing it? Or not necessarily what is causing it. Why am I reacting to it the way that I
That
am?
part. Yeah.
So I started to think that, wait a minute, if the same thing keep happening over and over again, and I keep dealing with it the same way,
Mm-hmm.
which by the way is was unhealthy,
Mm.
counterproductive, and just downright wrong.
Okay.
You know what they say the definition of insanity is, right?
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Uh-huh. I was the poster child for that.
Right.
And the same thing would keep happening over and over again. And because I did not recognize what was triggering these circumstances, I was reacting the same way and expecting the outcome to be different.
Right. Right.
So a lot of it was emotional, but even before that, it was physical.
Mm.
And I'm going to go back to as far as childhood.
Okay.
There were certain foods that I was allergic to as a child. But those were foods that tasted good and I liked how it tasted, not thinking about
The
the
consequences.
reaction, the consequences
Mm.
that it would have on my body.
Right.
Did I stop eating those foods? Of course not. They tasted good and they were fun.
Okay.
But afterwards, after I ate those foods, I would have to deal with the discomfort, the allergies.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I became an adult and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I know that if I have this particular kind of food, my body's going to react to it this way. And some people don't think that those are triggers. Those I think those are physical triggers.
Mm. Okay. Now,
So after go ahead.
well, no, you have more. You go
No,
ahead.
no, 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 no. Go ahead. You were going to ask a question that I think I was going to answer with with my next comment.
Well, go ahead with your next comment then, because I have something. What I'm asking has to do with some of the services that you provide as a professional today.
Okay, so One of the things that later on in life I realized after being diagnosed with certain autoimmune conditions,
Yes.
had I paid closer attention and taken my health more seriously, I think that a lot of those discomforts could have been prevented.
How do you just address the issue early on?
Yes.
And I think that that's one of the things that happens with people with, and we're gonna see some of this as we go through the information, as we go through the broadcast tonight, looking at some of the information that I have. But as someone that works with putting people in a more relaxed state, as someone who pretty much addresses the results of certain triggers, as a massage therapist, you know, you would think then that earlier than now, you'd have put the two together. And when I say no, I mean earlier than more recent times, earlier than looking back and saying, boy, I could have addressed this a long time ago. Did
But going back to something that you preach and knowing you outside of this broadcast, you practice, so you're now practicing what you preach,
yes.
is acceptance. And through acceptance comes realization. Because you have to realize that there's an issue before you can accept it.
True.
And you also, one of your favorite things to talk about is how we've been conditioned.
Yes.
And the culture that I came from, I was conditioned to take care of everybody else, and I was never taught how to take care of me. So even though I know, or I knew I knew the remedy, or I knew how to take care of others, I was never taught how to use those same things to take care of me.
Right. Which I believe
So
is what a lot of us have to deal with. We don't have the tools to, one, recognize that there's an issue, and two, to deal with the issue after recognizing it. And that ends up leading to piling on things. And so we layer and then we layer on top of the layer, and then we keep building on top of those. And like the old Jamaican saying, every day you take the bucket to the well, one day the bottom is going to fall out.
my bottom fell out so many times and I didn't even realize it. I just trying to take a little piece of tar or gum or whatever and patch that. And then when another part fell out, I would take something else and try to patch it and try to hold it together instead of dealing with the issues that were causing the bottom to fall out, which were triggers.
Okay. But I believe it also comes back to first realizing where this got started.
Yeah.
What helped me was going to therapy.
Oh, you hoo. That why'd you
I,
have to go there? That was gonna be my thing. That was gonna be my thing was therapy. But you know what? I have learned to share.
okay, so we'll share that together. So
Yes.
this is what helped you along your journey.
And it's still helping me because I
Excellent.
am a work in progress.
Nice.
And rather than dwelling, what I've learned is rather than dwelling on the outcome of what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to figure out what brought the outcome. I mean, not necessarily what brought the outcome, but what was the cause for me to seek an outcome.
Gotcha. So the journey is ongoing, and even so much so now, where you are getting additional help, you're getting professional help, and
Oh, yeah.
this is one of the issues that I had growing up when it comes to dealing with issues of mental health. If you were to seek help along that vein, then you're crazy.
Yes. And it was a hush hush, and
Right. Taboo.
we were not allowed to talk about our feelings and things that made us feel uncomfortable, or things that we saw that we didn't understand that made us feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And we were never given an outlet to say, you know what, this doesn't seem right with me. Why? And were you okay? I digress, but were you ever that child that every time you saw something that you didn't either understand or agree with, and you asked why, and you were given that look like, how dare you? You're a child. How dare you ask why? Just do it because I say
Yeah,
so.
because I said so. That's where whys usually end up, because I said so. And again, this and I don't think it was just our culture. I think it stemmed from a time and an era. And so what ends up happening is today we're paying a bigger price.
Yes.
And we see it in the news all the time. In the last few weeks alone, here in the U.S., there again have been mass shootings, and you have to ask why. What was it that set these individuals off?
Something had, and that is where I think we're failing as a society, is instead of trying to figure out why they did this, what, it's not why they did it, something caused them, something triggered these people to do to just commit these heinous acts.
One of the
What
things
is the trigger? What
for
triggered them?
for me, and I don't know if it is because I'm coming out of the old school, but for me, I do believe you touched on it. As a society, we are doing ourselves a grave injustice. Bless up, Ricky. Much love, DJ Ricky Law. We are doing ourselves a grave injustice by becoming segregated. And I'm not just talking about racial segregation. I'm not talking about just cultural segregation. I'm talking about segregation across the board. We don't even know our neighbors, a lot of us. And so the whole concept of the village raising the child is gone. So if there's a child that is behaving a certain kind of way in this household is going to brush it, sweep it under the carpet, because they don't want to cause any bring on any additional attention. And
And yet,
the family
and
looking
this
on is going to say, boy, that's their business. It's not my business. Whatever they do.
and, and we also have the stigma about creating that perfect persona where you have the mother and the father and the 2.5 children and the house with the white picket fence.
Yeah, and the puppy.
And that's the 2.5 kids. But
Oh,
anyway,
that's a point five. Yeah, that's right.
yeah. And you, as the neighbor, you're passing by and you see on the exterior what they want you to see.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord only knows what in the name of Father, Jesus, Allah, whoever goes on behind that white picket fence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's well, there was this show that used to come on TV. I remember the street that it was set on, Wisteria Lane. Uh, I
Oh
don't
my
even remember
goodness.
the name of the show now, but
Oh
that's
Lord.
pretty much an
Desperate
example.
Housewives.
That's what it was.
Desperate Housewives. Oh
Right.
my Lord.
So the appearance is one thing, and what happens behind those doors, that's something completely different. And we, I guess it happens. We see it happening in all kinds of TV dramas, soap operas, whatever. But
But it happens in real life. Where do you think they get those
that
ideas
part,
from for these shows?
yes,
They happen in real life.
that, and so
And I think as a society, we are so concerned with the way others see us
mm,
that we don't deal with the underlying issues and try to figure out, okay, you and I, we're in a relationship
hmm
and the world sees us as this perfect couple.
right,
But when we come home, whether we're living together or living apart or whatever,
hmm
when we come home or when we're alone outside of the viewing eyes of others,
we're at each other's throats.
we're at each other's throats.
Yeah,
And I can't stand you, and how dare you do this, and you didn't make dinner right, or you didn't do the lawn right. Oh, we find things that we throw at each other.
right.
But the moment we walk outside and the moment we get around each other people,
We put on this
we're
persona, and again, even when you look at couples that operate that way, at some point in time there's a breaking and something happens. And
and it's usually not pretty.
when that thing happens, that very not pretty thing happens, then you find the neighbors going, boy, I knew there was something that wasn't right over there.
Then why didn't you do something?
That because we no longer live as a village. That is why.
Oh,
Hey,
and
Nikki, greetings to you. Yeah, we no
you know,
longer live as a village. If you check out the societies, the cultures across the world that are not as developed as we here in the quote unquote great US of A.
are we that developed, or we think we're developed?
Hey, listen, that's what the people say. That's why I said quote unquote. you know,
Oh, I apologize. This is not a visual broadcast, so I can't see
it is a
the
visual. You're
quote
just not looking.
unquote. Yo, I can't. But okay, did you do the quote
I did the air
unquote
quotes.
fingers?
I did the
Oh,
air
the air
quotes.
quotes.
So everybody
Okay,
else that is
I,
watching me
I
right now, they saw it.
okay.
And
I
so
apologize. I
and so
apologize.
this village concept again. You don't have the kind of mass killings in those cultures as you do in this one. And I don't know if it is my thinking that is so simplistic or it is too simplistic to say, okay, we have all this technology. You don't want to be all up in people's business and interacting with people. You don't want to be face to face because you don't want to transmit or contract something from someone. Okay, cool. You want to tell me that we the borders have pretty much dissolved as a way of because of technology. I have people listening in. Dora is tuned in on Facebook Live right now from Brazil, and so it's she's right here. We can talk real time, but yet still
Yes.
to say, boy, I saw you do something on social media, and I have to reach out to you to ask what is going on. We can't do that because that becomes a problem. It becomes a problem because one, you're prying. Two, I can do whatever I want. This is my social media platform. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. You can get off it. We take these positions versus saying simply, oh, no, I just thought I would share this because I believe somebody needed to hear it. Or, yes, this is something that I'm dealing with and I don't know how to move forward. And I don't know how
Oh
to
my
ask for help.
goodness. You have, earlier, as a matter of fact, probably about an hour ago, I was sharing with a very close and personal friend of mine. Today's her birthday, by the way. And we literally were on
As
the
you said
phone
that,
for an
I'm sorry, as you said that, I want to say big ups to Nurse Marva Riley. Happy Earth Day to you. Author
happy Earth
of,
Day, Marva
yes,
Riley.
author of Eat, Sleep, Meditate, and Share Simple, Healthy, Easy, Inexpensive Recipes. Two books that I recommend to everyone.
I have them both.
Of course you do. Show
I
off.
proofread them both, and yes, I do. And she's my girl, and I got to big her up. And literally, we were talking
Yes.
about an hour ago, and we go way back. And this is the exact thing that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, why aren't people more transparent? Why aren't people less judgmental?
Well, you just
And
answered the two questions. You just answered the first question with the second question. Although you can't answer a question with a question, you just did.
yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because remember, the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is not the norm. What do you say? You stimulate
Stimulate
the
appetite, not
appetite,
satisfy hunger.
not
Hey,
satisfy
Dorothy.
the hunger.
Hi, Dorothy. How you doing? Hail up Desi for me, please. Please give him a big hug for me.
And
Yeah.
we were talking. Oh, I apologize. Go ahead and finish your
No,
statement with
I'm.
your.
Oh, yeah. What was I saying? Dorothy distracted me.
Oh, no, but we were talking about the effects of social media on today's society
Yes.
and how certain people are either afraid or ashamed to share certain things because I guess it's fear of being judged.
Yes.
But when you are transparent and when you are honest and you just put yourself out there, you don't know who is going to need to see that or need to hear what you have to say. Because no matter what we think we're going through, we're not going through it by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's at
True.
least a million people out there that are going through the same things.
Yeah, but
And
again, we believe that this is just this is just happening to me.
we gotta get out of that me mentality. We're not in this world by ourselves. What would make us think? Well, no, let me take that back because I used to be one of those that, oh, woe is me and poor me, and I'm going through this by myself, and nobody else would understand because,
That part.
yeah, that part. So when we get out of our own heads, and this is this is a phrase that my therapist used, get out of your head. Because when we get inside our heads, oh dear, there's about 1,000,001 people, personalities, or however you want to look at it, that is in there, that is each telling us,
Vying for contention. Everybody want to
you,
rule.
yes, 1,000,000? I'm sorry, I can barely deal with one other than myself, much less more than that. And I realized that those thoughts were triggering me to react the way I did to my children, to my family, my siblings, my parents,
Mm.
my personal, intimate relationship.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, oh my God, why is my life so messed up? And when I say messed up, I understand that I do have to be respectful. And there's certain things that I can't say on the air because I don't want you to be
Yeah.
censored.
It's not that kind of a show.
No, it's not that it's not that kind of a show. But I kept wondering, why is my life so messed up?
Yeah.
Because I refused. I shouldn't say I refused. I was not given the tools to recognize that, okay, if I know that I have this issue with my older sister, and she is always telling me that you can't do this and you're not supposed to do this because she's older than me and she knows better and she's always telling me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was having an issue, hey, this is my big sister. She's been here longer than me.
Right.
She's been through certain things. Why wouldn't I go to her for advice? Again, the definition of insanity:
Mm-hmm.
keep doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome.
Right.
That's how I was conditioned. You go to people who you're comfortable with, you go to people who you trust that may not always necessarily have your best interests at heart. Not that they're doing it maliciously or intentionally, they're just working with what they have.
Yeah. Not everybody has it all together. They put on a good show, but yeah, sometimes you're better off not going to anybody at all.
Not going to see. Okay, for those out there who are listening, please, 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 if you are having issues that you have gone to people that you know, not necessarily people that you trust, but people that you know, only because you think that's what you're supposed to do,
Mm.
sometimes it is best to go to a third party who may be a total stranger because they will be more, is it subjective or objective? I usually get those two mixed up.
They're more
But
objective.
yes, they're more objective.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be what you want to hear, but remember, this person doesn't know you from Adam
Right.
or Eve,
Right.
and they may not tell you what you want to hear. But when they tell you something, don't
They have
just,
nothing to gain from it.
yeah, they have nothing to gain. And this is why I love therapy.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
I guess if you were to apply the same concept to the body, this would be a good reason why you are a massage therapist
Or a personal trainer.
or a
But I
personal
digress.
trainer. Yeah, you know.
No,
But
but we are so used to having what is that called? Instant gratification.
yes, the
That
journey. Yes, the journey gets put aside for that
yes.
instant result, and we need to
Yeah,
go through
because
the
I
journey
I
because
want to feel I want to feel good now. I don't want to
yes,
have to go through weeks of exercise and weeks of eating healthy or weeks of therapy. I want to feel good now.
but remember, I mentioned the layers that had been piling on, layer on top of layer after issue on top of issue that weren't getting dealt with
Yeah.
until at the very end there's a straw that landed on the camel's back and the camel just passed out because his back got broke. You know, it
And
we just keep piling on and piling on and not dealing with our issues.
Yes. I
And so,
remember. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll
sorry.
make the statement afterwards. Go ahead.
And
Finish your
so
thought.
the triggers are some things that affect us, and someone looking on would go, that is what did it for them? Because somebody called them and say, yo, instead of excuse me. That is what did it. That is what set them off. That's the straw. That's the straw.
That broke the camel's back.
Before you hold your thought, don't forget it. I just want to part company with those on Clubhouse and Facebook Live. Come on over to kevinstew.com for the remainder of the broadcast. Thank
It's
you.
about to get better.
I truly appreciate of you. Yes, what she said. I truly appreciate of the support. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for passing on the word. Thank you for the words of encouragement. I truly appreciate of you. Join me on Saturday for the Saturday Stew on Reggae Global Radio. But for now, we're continuing Real Talk on kevinstew.com. Come on over. This is where we're going to part company. Again, truly appreciate of you. When you come to kevinstew.com, you have two viewing options. You can go through the player that is up at the top, or you can go through the YouTube player that is down below under the stew pot, which is what others call a chat room. So you have two options to view the broadcast. But you can listen on either one. You can listen through TuneIn Radio, which is also available on the website. So see you over at kevinstew.com for the remainder of the broadcast. Again, the numbers to call, numbers to text, 773-789-STEW, 773-789-7839. We do want to hear from you. Okay.
And see, people, you have choices. Choices. You don't have to stay on Facebook. You don't have to stay on Clubhouse. You don't have to do TuneIn.
Yeah.
Choices.
Make a big difference, don't they?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, a few years ago, a very dear friend of mine, who's also my cousin, was she was in the process of losing weight, and she kept being bombarded with all the advertisements and whatever about quick weight loss or whatever. She looked at an individual and said, you know what? I did not put this weight on overnight, number one. And number two, I did not pay somebody to put this weight on. So I don't expect to take this weight off overnight. And number two, I don't expect to pay somebody to take this weight off. I am going to do it the hard. Oh my God. When she said that, I was like, oh my gosh. She just like, it was like an epitome for me when she said that.
So hold on. As a personal trainer, hearing someone say that they're not going to pay someone to do it, this is one of the services that you offer professionally.
Yeah.
You are okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I am totally 110% okay with that. Because if this is how this person feels, why am I gonna go? I'm gonna seem like I'm only in this for the money.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna be in it for the gratification that is gonna be for me, not thinking about them.
Right.
And that is where a lot of us fall in to these, oh my God, this is the vicious cycle of trying to keep up with the Joneses. Okay, I know I got to eat healthy.
I know the Joneses, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I know the Joneses.
Oh, I do too. But the Joneses that I know are real people.
Yeah.
They're not the quote-unquote Joneses that everybody's trying to keep up with.
Right.
You know, but if somebody comes to me and make that statement, it's going to cause me to think like, whoa, there's some underlying circumstances why this person made the statement. Let me try to figure out what is triggering them to make this statement.
But you see, you can only get to that point after you've gone through some things and realized some things yourself.
Oh my lord. Yo,
And
I'm trying to get off my soapbox right now, but I can't.
understandable. You know, until someone goes through and recognizes that they have gone through some of these things, it doesn't really spell sense. Really, you know what I
No, it
mean?
doesn't. And it's
They,
not
they can't they
something,
can't give you can't give off an empty cup.
yes. And it's not something that you're just going to wake up tomorrow morning and go and have that epiphany that says, I see, you are going to have to do the work. And sometimes you can do it by yourself, but more times than not, you're not able to. We
One of the
need to
things.
get back to that mentality of no man is an island, no man stands alone, each one has a brother, each one has a friend. In my case, each one has a sister or a brother, however you want to put it. But guys, we were not created to be alone. We were not created to solve or live our lives alone.
You know,
We were created with and for community. And the last time I checked, a community was not one person, one individual, one thing.
nor like I say every day, is it the development that you live in.
No, it's not. It's the people that you pass on the bus, on the plane, on the boat, on the train.
Yeah, whether you walk right or drive. You know, and I, you see, this is so all encompassing when looking at a topic like this, emotional triggers.
Mhm.
Here is something else at NAMI.org. You'll find this information on their website. A person's behaviors based on their emotional reaction can range from relatively minimal to serious,
Mhm.
such as acts of violence. We've seen that over and over again. Someone exposed to a trigger while symptomatic may be more vulnerable and the emotional reaction may be stronger. Additionally, a trigger can impair judgment, and some people may lack insight about their reactions. So they don't know what they're doing when they're triggered. Now, it is important not to assume that you understand the emotional response of someone who has been triggered or suggest that someone who has been triggered is overreacting, being too sensitive, or being irrational, even if the trigger may seem insignificant. Remember what I said earlier about the straw? That
Mhm.
one little thing. Because somebody addressed you as yo versus excuse me, sir, ma'am.
And may I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Yeah, hold that thought. That is a trigger for me personally, and it still is. When I deal with the public, both personally and professionally. And one of the first things that I do when I encounter someone for the first time is I introduce myself.
Okay.
And my expectation is that you will treat me as an individual. I am trying and this is something that I am working on personally. I have this little side hustle where I help out a family member to, deal with their side hustle.
Okay.
And it involves dealing with other individuals.
Okay.
And I work on building a rapport with each of those individuals so that they know who I am. There's this one individual that that for months, when we would be in the same environment, he chose to go, hey you, or yo, or you, after and this is something that I've explained to this individual on multiple occasions. This is who I am. This is my name. The next time you come and you approach me this way, I'm not going to be nice.
So that was a trigger for you.
That was a trigger for me because the moment they walked in, I had my guard up. And all right, this you know what is not going to come in and, recognize me as the individual. Yo, you are. So you
Okay.
know what that would do for me?
Mm-hmm. Go on. Tell me.
I would ignore that person. And at times I would get downright just disrespectful by not acknowledging them, even though they thought they were trying to get my attention. But no, this is not how you approach me. This is not how you deal with me.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Excuse me. Sorry to cut you.
No, no, that's fine.
What was it that led to you taking that position? What was it
I'm an
that led to you being irritated, not being addressed by your name?
I'm an individual. I learned that I'm an individual. And this comes through therapy of learning and appreciating who I am and not to be compared with the masses.
Okay. So this person comes in and addresses you as yo. You don't like it. Your
No.
it becomes a trigger which
Yeah.
upsets you,
Hmm. Very much so.
but you deal with it by addressing the situation and not going off. Just to be clear.
No, no, no. At first, I went off. But even when I went off and I was not very nice, and other people were looking around like, oh my God, what's wrong with her?
Right.
All he did was just say, yo,
Right. And
no,
this is
you don't know me. You don't know my journey. You don't know where I've been. So don't judge me.
and this is what I'm saying. Anybody get the trigger tends to be that what others consider that little thing. And this is exactly
Hmm.
what I just read, about
The straw that broke the camel's back.
yes, but not only that, seeing where it is, here it is. It is important not to assume that you understand the emotional response of someone who has been triggered or suggest that someone who has been triggered is overreacting, being
There is
too
no such thing.
sensitive, or being irrational, even if the trigger may seem insignificant. And again, this is because, just like you said, they don't know what it is that you're going through. We never yet know what it is that people are going through. When you're in traffic and you see some people doing some crazy things, you hear about road rage all the time. We see it on the news. We hear about it. We see it in memes. People tell stories. That guy that ran his truck, his car, his whatever, over the bike rider, the person that shot the next driver because they blew their horn, not knowing what that individual in that car was going through up until that
Moments
point.
before, up until that point, you never know. And this is something that I had to learn is not to take people for granted, number one, and number two, to automatically assume. Because you know what they say about the word assume, right?
Yes, it makes an ass out of everybody.
Out of you, not me. Yeah, that's just yeah, that's my take on it. Yeah, it makes an
Yeah,
ass out of you and me.
yeah,
But
and go ahead.
I I did that for years. I just assumed that I knew what the next person was going through rather than taking the time out to talk to them. Okay, I'm sidebar. How
Mm.
many times have you greeted someone and you asked,
How are you?
"Hey, how you doing? How are you?" How many times have you actually stopped to listen to what that person had to say? Or are you just doing it just out of a robotic response or an automatic thing that you think you're supposed to do?
I'm always listening for the response.
How many people do that? Or how many times do you
Please.
actually genuinely listen for that response? And regardless of what that response is, you are prepared.
I've gotten to the point where I'm wary about asking that question because
Yes.
over time, I have learned that people just decide that they're going to tell me things. Hey, Julie, how you doing? Good evening. I've learned that people just tell me things. I used to ride the train to Palm Beach every day to work, and I have met a number of people on the train. I don't know their names, but I know their stories.
You know their life stories because you have that disposition that people trust and they just I don't well no I'm not gonna say I don't know what it is. I know what it is.
Mm.
And I can sum it up into two words. You
Kevin
care.
Stew. Oh, okay, cool. I'll take those.
People don't what is it? They don't care how much or they don't how what
They don't
Lord,
care what
why
you
keep
know, how much you know, until they know
to
how much you
them
care.
much you care. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. Does that mean that we're like intellectually inclined or something that we can finish these other sentences? Oh Lord.
I just know
Okay,
what you're
that's
gonna
something
say.
else. That's something else I gotta deal with at another time. But no, it really is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have been so conscious of when I ask somebody how they're doing, regardless of if they say, "Oh, I'm doing fine," or if they go, "You know what? I'm doing terrible. I had a horrible day. Such and such happened."
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes to where they're not having a good day, I have been learning how to prepare myself to deal with that because I asked.
Mm. Yeah.
So if I ask, and I am not asking to be robotic, I'm asking because I care, I have to be prepared for when they say, "You know what? I woke up this morning and this happened and that happened." And I'm like, okay, I asked, therefore, I owe it to them, not to me, to be there to listen.
Okay. Watch this now. Once again, numbers to call 773-789-STEW, 773-789-7839. Numbers that get
Yeah,
you in
come on.
touch.
Come on,
Um,
guys. I can't do this by myself. I need somebody else. I can't just be pouring my soul out there. There's other people out there who I'm sure that experiencing the same thing as me. Come on,
speaking,
join the discussion. It is so therapeutic.
thank you. Speaking of experience, do remember y'all can catch a Truly Julie experience. It happens each and every Saturday on Flex FM around about 1 p.m. Eastern. Do check it out. Thank you for passing by, Julie. Once again, 773-789-STEW is the numbers to call, numbers to text, numbers to WhatsApp, Telegram. If you're overseas and you can't call directly, you can call on WhatsApp or Telegram. You know, we can talk. All right,
You
no,
forgot
no,
Skype.
yeah. Oh, yeah, and I have Skype. Kevin that's Stew. That's a Skype handle. DJ Kevin Stew is the email. Thank you very much, Miss Althea. Thank you very much. So, you know, we we so often just not even understand that with asking the question, how are you? That response could trigger us. It could trigger something
Yes.
in us. And as much as a lot of us do it just in passing,
Robotically.
yeah, the ones that actually stop and give a response are the ones that actually wait for a response. Be prepared for anything.
It's not always going to be, oh, I'm fine. How are you?
Yes. I've gotten some stories sometimes that became my topics for broadcasts.
Yeah.
You know, it's not far fetched. It's not one off. It's things that happen all the time.
And I've through therapy, I've learned how to listen to what others are going through for two reasons: to understand what they're going through,
Hmm.
but more importantly, to not allow it to trigger me to have that negative emotional response that could make that situation worse for that person.
But did you learn to do that for them, or did you learn to do that in therapy for you?
They weren't in therapy with me. I learned how to do it from me because that's the only response and that's the only individual that I can control in all of this is me. I learned how to do it for me. Get it? Me, myself, and I, all three of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm not in control of how you respond to your stressors, to your situations, to your triggers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I am only in control of how I allow your response
To
or
affect you.
not allow your response to affect me.
Yes.
And people, it's okay to be selfish. That's not a bad thing. For those of you who are listening and who have been told your whole life that is a bad thing to be selfish, if you are not selfish, then you are not healthy because you are doing yourself an injustice.
That saying something like that, I'm pretty sure some people are going, what is this woman talking about? She is crazy. All right, let me break it down for you
Yeah,
just a little bit.
I might be crazy. Don't get me wrong, I might be crazy, but guess what? I am one of the most healthy, emotional, healthy people that you can come across because I've been through some
So you're a
stuff.
healthy crazy.
And yes, I'm crazy healthy. I have been through some stuff and I did not allow it to break me. I am learning my triggers. I'm learning things that trigger me.
Mm-hmm.
Do I stay away from them? No, I can't actually control those triggers. What
Mm-hmm.
I can control is how I deal with and how I react to those triggers for it not to be detrimental to my mental health.
Again, a lot of us are not given the tools or have not taken the time to learn the tools that we can use to address a situation like that.
Therapy.
It sounds like
And
we're harping that it's the answer to everything, right? Just about.
just remember, for those of you who are listening that think that therapy is expensive or you can't afford therapy, remember there are complimentary free services available to
Counties usually,
everybody.
yeah, counties usually provide services.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, and cities, county, public municipalities provide services. So you should never feel like you don't have an outlet.
Let me
There is always, always, always.
I just got a comment here. Someone sent me a comment on a text line. I've gotten hell from people I loved when I tried to be selfish. All right. I meant to break down this being selfish thing. Again, I said it earlier. You can't give out from an empty cup. When you go on a plane, you're told in the safety instructions to be selfish. When that little thing drops down from the ceiling, you need to put on yours first so you can be able to help someone else. Whether it is the person that is traveling with you or someone that is beside you that you don't know but is unable to help themselves. It is because you need to take care of you so that you can take care of someone else. The problem is when you become self-centered. That's different. But you do need to
Big
be selfish. You need to take
difference.
care of yourself first so that you can take care of others. So if anyone is giving you a hard time about being selfish, it is because they don't know the importance of it. And it gives
They don't know
you
the
the
importance of
opportunity
self-care.
to teach them. Yes. And it gives you the opportunity to know, here's a teachable moment. It's not for you to be triggered, although it is easy for something like that to trigger you to a negative reaction. There are several types of triggers. Let me go ahead and slip this in here. There are external triggers, there are internal triggers, there are trauma triggers, and there are symptom triggers. Your internals, the author here from NAMI says, I was triggered by feelings of abandonment when my spouse avoided contact with me to minimize conflicts. I would at times spontaneously, angrily erupt. To address these feelings, I talked to my spouse and let him know how our strained communications made me feel. And he reassured me that he had no plans to leave me. It was a trigger, something that they were exposed to before that led them to believe that this lack of communication will mean total separation. Then you have your trauma triggers. I lived near the hospital where I experienced a traumatic hospitalization. It was along a convenient route for me to access public transportation. But every time I walked by it, I recalled that hospitalization and was re-traumatized. After being triggered several times, I decided no longer to walk past the hospital and took a longer alternative route to avoid the trigger versus just deal with it. Here it is. This individual going through witnessing this hospitalization. Now, that can go one of two ways. The individual that was hospitalized passed on, or the individual was healed. Either way, there was a resolve. And because this individual held on to a lack of a resolve, they were constantly traumatized. Now, again, I'm just a DJ, not a DR. You don't have to take my word for it. You can talk to someone that have a DR before their name. But
They don't need a DR.
this
They
this
they
is
just need to be able to explain that this reaction or this action causes this reaction. And I'll share something with you. I'll
yeah.
let you finish.
Yeah, so the next type of trigger is your symptom triggers. And this one, a lack of reduced need for sleep has occasionally triggered the symptoms of my bipolar disorder. In this situation, I quickly addressed any sleep disruption, often with a medication adjustment in consultation with my doctor. It's a symptom of something else. You were going to say something, Miss Althea.
So I have two things to share. One is physical, one is emotional. Physical triggers for me. I was recently diagnosed with two rather painful autoimmune diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Physical triggers for me is my diet.
Mm.
As much as I love cheese, dairy products,
Mm-hmm.
they're like my kryptonite because if I consume them, it will trigger
An autoimmune
inf-
response.
an inflammation in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to now consider, okay, if I consume these products, emotionally, I'll be satisfied. Physically, I'll be in pain. I will be miserable. I will be intolerable to my family.
Mm.
But emotionally, I'll be happy because I had this and I had this. And when I'm sitting down, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel good because I had some yogurt and I had some cheese and I had some dairy products. Tomorrow morning when I wake up, my family will not want to be around me because I am going to be cranky. My joints are going to hurt. My they're going to be swollen. I'm going to be physically impossible to live with.
Mm. Yeah.
Those two that's my physical trigger. Emotionally, I went through some stuff. And there are certain streets,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not kidding you. There are certain streets that I avoid driving on, even if it means getting to my destination with
Late.
less traffic, or no, if it means getting to my destination with, on time,
Mm-hmm.
with less traffic, with less headache or whatever. I avoid those routes or that street because it's an emotional trigger of something that was very extremely painful for me.
Mm.
And I have tried
Mm-hmm.
to say, all right, you know what? Let me just go ahead and just take this route just to see if that trigger is still there.
Mm.
Yes, it is.
All right. So.
Because I go driving down the street and it's like everything that happened a while ago is like it brings it back and it triggers such an emotional response that I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? Just avoid the darn street. Just avoid the area.
Okay. Watch this now. There are some ways to cope with triggers, and
I'm learning therapy.
therapy helps to teach you some. And I'm going to share some ways right now
Oh Lord, I can't wait. Please, please,
because
please help me. Help me.
there are a lot of coping strategies out there, and I'm going to give you a few of them. According to NAMI.org, strategies should seek to eliminate, avoid, and reduce the impact of triggers and emotional reactions. Each person must identify what works best for them through trial and error. There's no one size fits all. Different coping strategies may work for different triggers and emotions. So you might need to know a few. You want to learn to identify. Consider reactions to past triggers. Who or what was involved? Where, when, and why it took place. Observe patterns and obvious signs of risk to prevent a similar situation. Like, stop watching the news if the news is triggering you. Or in your case, stop driving in that particular route if it triggers you. My issue with some of the coping mechanisms is you don't address the issue at hand. Now, again, it's a process. Another one here is make a plan to address. Create a plan to address triggers and emotional reactions. You may want to talk to loved ones on your treatment team to let them know how they can assist when you're triggered. Be sure to carefully address triggers that occur repeatedly because each time they do, the emotional reaction may be greater. And I'm pretty sure that you have experienced some of that. Where the first time something happened, you're like, The second time, you're like, yeah, I'm upset, don't talk to me right now. Another time it might happen, or 2 times later, you just explode. You go off. And I'm sure that has happened to just about everyone that is listening right now. Whether you're listening live here or you're listening on the recording, on the podcast, on the YouTube, whichever. Try problem-focused coping is another one, another strategy. Confront your stressor directly or try to find a solution to the stressor. Example, driving your children to school may cause you to worry because you're afraid you might arrive to work late. Instead, you can ask someone else to take your kids to school, make other arrangements, or leave earlier. Try emotion-focused coping. When you cannot eliminate or avoid a trigger, focus on regulating your reaction to a stressor, which may help reduce the stressor's impact. Example here, meditation can help reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. Or you can call up this lady right here on the phone, Althea SU 954-655-9000 and get yourself a massage. Or do some personal training because it tends to help with your emotional response. Communicate if someone is triggering you. Talk about it. A person triggering another person often does so unintentionally.
Yes.
Talk to them about their actions and their impact to clear up any misunderstandings and consider possible solutions. Have an open, calm, and understanding dialogue. Be willing to work with them. If the person who is triggering you refuses to act sensitively, it may be best to set clear boundaries. The funny thing about addressing triggers as caused by someone else is you may trigger them in the process and then you end up clashing because nobody is getting their point across and nobody is intending to hurt the other person. It's crazy, but it happens. And it ends up being much ado about nothing. I don't know how many people are familiar with that Shakespeare play. But it ends up being that. And at the end of the day, when the dust settles, everybody is going, wait, what just happened? Why did this just happen? This doesn't make sense. Well, one person was triggered and that triggered someone else, the reaction to the trigger. Another coping mechanism is to find the right therapy. Specific types of therapy have been shown effective in addressing triggers. Specific therapies, especially helpful for addressing trauma triggers, include exposure therapy and EDMR therapy. Now, you can also reality check your thoughts. To minimize the escalation of thoughts and feelings, it may be helpful to do a reality check. You want to assess your thoughts' reasonableness. Because sometimes, our thoughts go off on tangents and we become unreasonable to ourselves. And
does reality check equal AKA get out of your head?
That part, yes. So fact checking, the ways that you do this is the fact checking, consider the facts and what they support, or whether they support your interpretation or not. And when I say facts, I'm talking about truths. Because whereas a truth can be a fact is not always a truth. So
Preach.
Address the truths. Apply cognitive distortions. Identify faulty or inaccurate thought processes, perceptions, or beliefs. And we all have our cognitive biases. whether we are aware of them or not, whether we acknowledge them or not, whether we accept them or not. Then we need to reframe. A friend of mine is known on social media is known as the queen of reframe. And this is what she does as a living. And this is reshaping automatic negative thoughts into positive thoughts. Take that I am no good thought and make it I am no good for them, but I am great for someone else.
Or even go a step further. I am great for me.
Yeah. I'm great by myself.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, reframe it. Then there's proportionality. Ask yourself, is the reaction disproportionate to the trigger? Does it match up? You want to look for trigger warnings also. And these can help you to be alert to triggering material, especially if materials related to suicide or violence come into play. Sometimes an article will provide a trigger warning at the start of the piece. You can even ask others to provide you with a trigger warning about materials that they share. The disclaimers. You notice some videos you come across on social media, it starts off by saying this contains violent, or this clip contains violent content or has violent content or something like that. Some disclaimer. This may cause nightmares, unusual thoughts. It's kind of like the what comes at the end of your medical product commercials, where 10 seconds out of a 90-second commercial is the product and the rest of it is a disclaimer, something like that.
Like this product may cause death.
Yeah, that. And of course, the biggest thing here, something that you mentioned when we're talking about being selfish, practice self-care. Prioritizing your mental health can help build resilience against potential triggers. You can start by taking or talking to someone such as a loved one, a friend, a therapist, especially a therapist. Let that therapist be your loved one who has become your friend, or your friend who has become your loved one, but is not really blurring the lines of therapist and patient or client. Yeah? You may also want to practice mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, or journaling. All these things help. Especially, well, for me, mindfulness is a thing. Big thing. I need to be aware. That awareness of what is happening right now. That questioning my reaction to the thing. That questioning the thing. Does it warrant a reaction? Because sometimes we react because someone else says, boy, I would just, and how could you, I would, this is what you should. You are not me. First thing, you don't know my journey. You don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't know what I have to deal with after. Your result is what you're foreseeing in your head with your scenario. You're not dealing with mine.
And you know what? I'm going to take a stance on this and say we're all a little guilty of that sometimes, because we may have been through a similar situation that someone is sharing with us, and we just automatically, and I'm going to say automatically because you think that you're going through a similar situation as someone else did.
Mm-hmm.
So you expect their reaction to be the same, number one. And number two, you expect that the way that you dealt with it, or the solution that you found to deal with it, is going to be the same, or it's going to be what the other person need, rather than trying to explain or give them alternatives or refer them to someone who can give them alternatives to deal with it. Because you and I can go through the exact same things, but we're going to have different reactions.
Right.
Different solutions are going to be out there where we're dealing with the exact same situation, because we're two different individuals.
I have been asked before how to deal with a particular situation. And I always preface it with, for me, this
Yep.
is.
Or this is how I dealt with
Yeah.
it. You always, in a situation like that, I have learned that you have to personalize it.
Yeah.
And don't just come out and go, you know what, Kevin? This is what you need to do, and this is how you need to deal with it, because that is how I dealt with it. I'm going to automatically pass those feelings on to you. And some of the times, depending on how close we are, or the closeness of that relationship, you're not intentionally trying to tell that person what to do. But if you're someone who that person trusts, or that person, they value your friendship, they value the advice, or they value what you share,
Yes.
you're going to be like, you know what? Kevin dealt with it this way, and this is what he said, so let me go ahead and try it.
Oh, yeah. Feel
Then,
free to do that. But I know
but
for me, I don't tell
it's the
people
way,
what to do.
right. But it's the way, and you may not come out and tell them that this is what they need to do, but because you didn't make it clear as is, you know what? Not really sure of your situation, but the same thing happened to me, but this is how I dealt with it. And a lot of us are not confident or comfortable enough to share that, you know what? This happened, but this is how I dealt with it, rather than, you know what? Do this, do this, do this, do that. We've got to be transparent in some of these situations, especially when it comes to another individual's well-being.
Yep. You know, we are so underdeveloped. You know, we think that we have advanced and we are well ahead of the game and everything. We are so behind because we haven't taken a moment to catch the basics, to learn the simple things, and to recognize that, hey, you know, it's all a process. And we can work through this process. And how we did it last week may not work for how we need to do it this week. And it's okay to tweak things a little bit. It's okay to not get it right.
And it's okay to change the narrative.
Yeah.
Notice how disclaimer, I borrowed that from DJ Kevin's too.
Listen, it's yours. Feel free to use it. I don't own any of them. Well, let me not say that, because people might start using it.
No, you do own those phrases, and that's why whenever I use them, I like to give credit where credit is due.
I thank you, and I'm going to claim that. You know, y'all need to give me my credit for my phrases. Things like having acceptance through enlightenment and stimulating appetite, not satisfying hunger. You know, give me my credit when you use them.
From knowledge.
Yeah, from knowledge sprouts power. FKSP.
Oh, I thought the S was for stems. Oh, sprout. Oh, I like that even better.
Yeah.
See, I gave you a new one from Knowledge Stems Power.
It's interchangeable. So for those who thought that it really meant from Kevin Stew's pot, yeah,
Yo,
yeah,
that works as well. Okay.
yeah. That's really where it started. But but it,
Change is
we
inevitable.
we just need to going back to the core of it all, where this started. We need to recognize that there are triggers, and it's okay when we get triggered. How we react to that trigger may not be so okay. Because the trigger tells us that something is not resolved. There's
Yeah,
never.
that super means there's an underlying circumstance
Yes,
that you haven't dealt with, whether it's intentional or unintentional.
yes.
It's an always an unresolved issue.
And we have a tendency. We like sweeping things under carpets.
We are so good at doing. We were taught that was something that was ingrained in us.
Yeah. Go ahead, brush it off. You're still talking about that? Why? We're not past that already. Let's move on.
Yes,
Well, okay.
That
So
happened a week ago. That happened a year ago. That happened 20 years ago. Why are you still dealing? Because I haven't dealt with it.
that part. And so the next person cannot relate to that particular issue that you are dealing with. But they don't stop to think about something that they have not let go of from before. Thank you, Julie. They hold on to their thing, and their thing is okay.
Because it's their thing, it's not yours. Allow them
Yes.
to hold on to it until they're ready, or they have they've had the mechanisms or whatever to deal with it and move on. Don't try to force somebody to get through what they're going through, because they may not be ready, or they may not be at that point where they're ready to let it go.
And a perfect parallel here is when we get hurt and we wear our pain on our shoulders like a badge of honor. We don't let go of it. And letting go of it is really just addressing it. All right, take care of yourself, Julie. Have yourself a great night. We don't address it. And so when we don't address it, we end up reliving, rehashing, reproducing the same unproductive result.
Over and over and over to
And
infinity and beyond.
yeah, helping no one. Worst of all, not helping ourselves. What I'm going to do right now, Althea, is go off and do a little bit of musical therapy.
Oh my gosh, is that time already? I only been on the phone with you for 5 minutes. What, is musical therapy already?
Time flies when you're having fun. You don't even know. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to
Wow.
Althea SU for being my sounding board and guest tonight. Totally unscripted, of course, but you all can reach out to Althea for her healing heavenly hands. She is a massage therapist. Over 20 years massage therapy experience. You call her. You're in Broad County, North Miami-Dade, South Palm Beach County. She comes to you. 954-655-9000. Easy number to use. 655-9000. 954 is the area code for most of Broad County. Go ahead and give her a call. Schedule your appointment today. And she's also a personal trainer. Check her out. It's Chioli. Changing your lifestyle will change your life. So
And just to put myself out there and be vulnerable and transparent,
yes.
the things that I discussed tonight is things that I went through personally,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to learn how to deal with them because I recognized that it was an issue in my life, and it was not, it was basically preventing me from moving forward and going on with the rest of my life. And it's it's a decision that I made that I don't want to be stuck in this position for the rest of my life because I was miserable. People around me were miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that enough was enough. And I wanted to change. Change is scary. Change is needed. And change is necessary. And if I had not decided or chose that I needed to change, I would not be on this broadcast tonight, putting myself out there and letting people know I am not the amazing, wonderful, perfect person that some of you may see. Because for years, I learned how to perfect that persona of being the perfectly imperfect, fake person.
So now you're just real, but perfectly imperfect.
I am perfectly imperfectly real.
There you go.
What you see is what you get.
You may not want it, but you're getting it.
It's not about you, it's about me.
There you go. So thank you, Althea. I truly appreciate you taking the time out to share with us and to share of yourself with us. Um, Thank you also to my other sponsors, Pulse Media Group, Reggae Global Radio, Reggae Global Entertainment, sorry, and McNeil Trucking, who is a sponsor of this particular segment that we're in right now. With McNeil Trucking, your goods are in good hands. They're licensed and insured movers in the state of Florida. So check them out. You can call them 954-406-9740 and call them up. Tell them Kevin Stew sent you.
Am I allowed to give them a plug because they moved me?
By all means.
Yes. Big up to McNeil Trucking, man. They are like the best, professional, on time. Don't even ask about pricing, because you can go somewhere else and you may get a better price, but you will not get the quality. You will not get the service.
Well, good luck getting a better price. I haven't heard of them getting being beat out for price yet. And I talk to them all the time.
Yeah, that you can vouch for, but I can vouch for that personal service.
Yeah.
That professionalism. And that service with a smile.
There you go.
And everything of mine was delivered. Nothing was broken. So the fact that they say your goods in good hands,
yeah,
that is not just a slogan. That is
the truth.
That's the truth.
There we go. Thank you much, Miss Althea. We're gonna bounce on out with a little bit of musical therapy, about 10 minutes of it. This has been a night shift with DJ Kevin Stew, Real Talk, and we were addressing emotional triggers. I had a whole lot more information that was pre-packaged. This here that you got tonight was shooting from the hip and real talk. That's
yes,
what
tonight
you got.
was real talk.
That's what
you mean.
Got.
I commandeered your broadcast again.
Again, but I don't mind. That's what it's all about. We can only reach real people with real people.
Real talk. And I figured the information that is provided, in which I know that you research your information, you vet everything. But I tend to react better to personal experiences than something that's written.
Yeah.
So I hope that me sharing tonight was able to, impact at least one person, because that is my daily goal. If I can make an impact on one person's life a day, I've gone above and beyond my purpose in life.
Yep. Well, I thank you. And
You're
as
very
we
welcome.
kick off musical therapy tonight, we do so with Denver Downer. The track is called Take Charge. And that's what we need to do sometimes with our own lives. Just take charge.
The race is not for the sweet, but never get
Good night,
twice.
everybody.
Good night, Miss Althea. Until we meet again, you take care.
The biggest cure is belief. So so we do it now, man. All in all, it's on me. The race is not for the sweet, but never get twice defeated in this life. Yeah, sometimes you got to be real. The biggest cure is belief. A lot of them fail even before they try. But me, I take charge of my life, take charge. You have to do it non-stop, still I work that hard, I'm gonna leave God. Them no one see me get far, but me, I take charge of my life, take charge. You have to do it non-stop, still I work that hard, I'm gonna leave God. Them no one see me get far, yeah. And my life, them can't dilapidate. This year it have to happen, me swear me like a date. One time opportunity scarce, me have to wait, but nowadays if it not coming afraid for not the gate. Them think me would have stopped. That's inaccurate. Every chance when me get a something hot, me a create. Chef boy RD to the lyrics, real musical surgeon. Me not afraid for operate, chop at my life depend on it. When it comes to the paper, me keep depend on it. Song them drop straight plate and tectonics. If a boy not try, when me pre-defend from it. And a little bit of time I feel like an anomaly. The only musician I never tour properly. If people sell a dream and drop a sleep, tell me what's it gonna be. We not find comfort, now them promise. Have to take charge of my life, take charge. I have to do it non-stop, still I work so hard, I'm gonna leave God. Them no one see me get far. If you take charge of my life, take charge. You have to do it non-stop, still I work that hard, I'm gonna leave God. Them no one see me get far, yeah. I know TV, J News, but this is the prime time. Forget the act together, make another line rhyme. If you now work the dream, you have to 495. Remember one life you live, but we not have a lifetime. Hungry for the success, me rather find dine. Graceful to me age, cause she love the fine wine. Some hot girls used to give me a warm time, but nowadays I must surround me, call me the Wi-Fi hotspot. Looking at my phone, got it on my contacts. Tell them what you need, but give thanks for what you got. I wouldn't mind a label, hear me right now. I put a couple strong, nearly pon a deal, make a muscle contract. These days maybe not got the fire in my spirit, but we couldn't find the match. And if we are gonna reach the goals, we come fat. Remember, say we have to leave the zone for comfort. Hey, we take charge of my life, take charge. Have to do it non-stop, till I work that hard, I'm gonna leave God. Them no one see me get far. I gotta take charge of my life, take charge. Yeah, we have to do it non-stop, still I work that hard, I'm gonna leave God. Them no one see me get far. I have to take charge, I have to take charge. Yeah, we have to do it non-stop, still I work that hard, I'm gonna leave God. Them no one see me get far. I gotta take charge of my life. Stop, still I be strong. Don't take no this from the man. Hear me son. Me can sing and kill the switch them. Me not fi beg no man fi rise the Uzi them. That's why me tell the little juvie them. Now follow the man and kill your friend, 'cause you will end up a prison. Me can sing and kill the switch them.
This is the sound of Mr. Vegas,
rise the Uzi them.
reminding us to be strong.
Juvie them. Now follow the man and kill your friend, 'cause you will end up a prison. We're cooperating with the corporation, so you know them cooperating down a station. One man fi kill man for you is a waste man. Can't do it yourself, you ain't gonna know how fi trace man. Me international, them full up a bass song. Look how long me drop the bomber, where them a wait pan. Come in like them never hear it, 'cause them man yam come drop a slang and pushy gang. Me
make the general run left the army. Me drop a bomb over the and kill all Sirani. This a witch can't go far cause him have a sore foot. Any girl with sex that them cranny. Get a use to take no this from the man. Be strong, be strong. You never come here fi be no weak pen. So make no man style you up and you no respond. Get a use to take no this from the man. Be strong, be strong. You never come here fi be no weak pen. So make no man style you up and you no respond. From your this you know me not forget no matter how long it take. Remember say are you first style you them with me no share me spliff. Can for them up. Don't fit above fish you know say them a proctologist. Watch me you step in at them face like crime. I know it was gonna take some time. Lyrics me use and chop them up fine. Chop out all piece and friend earline. For right off the whole of them but not on my mind. Them try stop the youths when they mean not them prime. Big up a Lexus me know say you kind. Me say them try stop your shine. Get a use to take no this from the man. Be strong, be strong. You never come here fi be no weak pen. So make no man style you up and you no respond. Get a use to take no this from the man. Be strong, be strong. You never come here fi be no weak pen. So make no man style you up and you no respond.
Everything that you're doing for us right now and everything that you'll do for us in the future. Take control of this moment, oh God. Have your way and let your perfect will be done. Amen. So make we start with a prayer, yo. The bush a burn, so I don't stop fire now. Me and the word come and move kinda higher now.
That's right, 263. Being strong doesn't mean being able to bench press 150.
And if you still a fear that one day now. Me and the vice mug jaja at the power house. Spiritual war, I feel ready can't tire now.
This is on a Caramanti.
The demons, the motor road naked and a free man. Purpose.
Track called Start of the Prayer.
Ultimate life goal conversion. Oh God, make we stay in the word, man. Genesis to the book of Revelation. We wish it when we encounter Satan. The break we pass up in the last in the Gideon. Mighty one, address every funny girl, every funny man. Clean up the heart, not the intention. And deal with the killer where you kill for the wrong. Please mess up every juvenile and every young man. Protect the little girls, give them guidance. Bless up Jamaica, me little island. And bless I and I plus I and I song. Alright, so make we start with a prayer, yo. The bush a burn, so I don't stop fire now. Me and the word come and move kinda higher now. Spiritual war, I be ready, can't tire now. People make we start with a prayer, yo. And if you still a fear that one day, yo. Me and the vice mug jaja at the power, yo. Spiritual war, I be ready, can't tire now. God, give me strength. You alone know what me going up against. Spiritual war, me a fight to the end. And I owe me true, so I owe me defend. I bag a enemy, but me know you are my friend. Standing on me feet, Caramanti no bend. The weapon I use is a pad and pen. With that I beat and but I rose them. Alright, me put in the work extend. Push myself to the limit transcend. Way past the borders, the creeks and bends. So me can do your will, uphold my end. No believe, some say God dead. Some a praise man, some a praise themselves. I praise you cause I you give me strength. And that's my prayer right now, amen. Alright, so make we start with a prayer, yo. The bush a burn.
And that's how we're gonna end tonight.
Me and the word come and move kinda higher now.
Ending it with starting with a prayer by Caramanti.
And deal with the killer where you kill for the wrong.
Want to thank you each and everyone for tuning in. Want to thank my affiliates,
Girls give them guidance.
NIE Radio to New Jersey,
And this I and I plus I and I song. Alright,
Reggae Pulse Radio out of New York,
yo. The bush a burn, so I don't
the
stop.
Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com,
Higher now.
PEMGTV.com,
Higher now. People make we start.
Zeno FM,
And
the Stew Pot.
fear that one day, yo. Me and the vice mug jaja at the power.
I truly appreciate love you guys. Thank you for the support.
God, give me strength. You alone know what me going up on.
Thank you to everyone that has shared this broadcast and commented tonight. Remember, you can contribute to the growth and development of the broadcast by sharing with people, by contributing to the website itself. Go visit kevinstew.com.
Teeny work extend.
You can donate there.
To the limit transcend. We past the borders, the creeks and bends. So me
As we part company,
hold my end. No
again,
say God
I encourage you to look out for members of your community.
praise themselves.
Remember, your community is not just development that you live in, but it spreads far and wide. So those that you pass on the bus, on the plane, the boat, or the train, whether you walk, ride, or drive, these are members of your community. Do something good for one of them today, because you never know who's going to do something good for you tomorrow. My name is DJ Kevin Stewart, so I like to do it to you, for you, and with you every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Catch you on Saturday for Saturday Stew. Y'all take care. Be good. If you can't be good at it. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida, good night. Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.